the station of decapitation without your head. I'm Nasty Neal, and I'm joined by Beatrice Boepple. Boepple. I had it right beforehand, and I knew I'd forget it. But it's a very cool name, and we'll get into the origins of it. Freddy's mom, and a Nightmare on Elm Street Part 5, a Dream Child, all kinds of cool stuff. And it's very nice to have you here.
Thank you. It's wonderful to be here too.
So actually, how about that? The history of the name.
So the history of the name Boepple is it's actually a Swiss Germanic name. My father was from Switzerland, and I think they would say Boepple because it might have been B-O-E with an umlaut or something originally. So anyway, but I don't know. Beatrice Boepple sounds a little strange. So
no, I like it though. It does roll off the tongue once I know what I'm doing.
The Boepple part, my girlfriend, when I was a little girl, made up a song to remember my name, and she would sing, Boepple, Boepple bee, could not climb up a tree, so she fell straight down to hell, Boepple, Boepple bee.
Well, that's very nice. Yeah, except for the falling to hell part. That's not so much.
Yeah, I don't know. But yeah, it's funny that I remember that song that my girlfriend, sang me when I was, a little kid, and I can't remember why I went into the kitchen, but hey.
Yeah. Well, that's a good way to remember things. I remember the planets from My Very Educated Mother Just Served Us 9 Pizza Pies, and then
wow. Okay.
Yeah, useless stuff like that sticks in your mind.
There you go. They do, for sure.
And I'm sure everyone tuned in to hear about the planets and rhymes, but maybe they did. I don't know. How did you get the role of Amanda Kruger?
Amanda Kruger. Oh, quick question. Yeah. I signed on from the link you gave me, so I won't really actually. Is this also live on Facebook?
Yeah, it's live right now on YouTube.
Oh, on YouTube. Okay, different on Facebook. So people can ask questions, or they can.
They can on there's a chat here on YouTube.
Okay, all right.
They could do it on Facebook too, and I'll read it. I'm currently suspended on Facebook, so I have my regular account for 30 days. So.
Oh boy.
Yeah.
Oh, are you doing bad things?
No, I was joking with a friend who I've known for 20 years, and we're joking back and forth. And I said, I'm going to whoop your ass, Budzinski. And Facebook said it was a serious threat of death or violence.
Oh, no. I don't know.
And so I was like, no, this isn't right. I tried to fight it, and immediately it just pops up. We reviewed this, and no, it's a serious threat, which no one could review it in like a millisecond. I'm sure it's just a bot, but.
Oh no, that's crazy. Yeah. And anyway, with a horror podcast, how on earth can we stay away from threats of death? But anyway, we'll give it a shot.
Serious. They even put serious. I thought, wow, they think I'm a very violent guy.
Oh no. I see. What is this?
Terrible Troy will be joining us here in a moment.
Yes.
Oh my goodness.
Terrible one.
Hello there. How's everybody doing?
Hello.
There.
We're doing very good. Hanging out here with my little action figure.
Oh, very cool.
Oh, I love it.
Yeah. Isn't she cool?
When did you get that?
This was a couple of years ago. Custom Horror Dolls by Will Turner.
Nice.
Yeah, he actually sent it to me. And then after he sent it to me, Wizard World, I guess, thought it was a cool idea. So they sent me a bunch to sign.
Oh, wow.
Speaking of
Very
which,
nice.
I do want to say one thing, I'll get shut off something for saying this, but Wizard World, they have a bunch of my photos with supposedly, certified autograph that I did not sign them.
Oh, really? Wow.
Oh, no.
That's pretty bad, especially for, a big company.
They're for sale on there. And my rep called them and told them, and they said, okay, thank you. And it's still up there. So,
wow.
And it's really terrible because I see some things that I actually did sign. And then I see the fake ones that I never signed, photos I've actually never even seen. And they don't even look alike, the autographs. So
they didn't even make an attempt to
exactly.
That's awful.
Yeah. So, I mean, I feel bad for Wizard World. If anyone from Wizard World hears this or is watching, please take a look at Beatrice Boepple's photos. Oh, my thing says Mattaway, doesn't it? Oh, I should have changed my name. Anyway, they need to change that. They need to take those down. And I don't know who gave it to them. I'm not accusing Wizard World themselves necessarily, but it's not a good thing.
Yeah, I mean, obviously things could happen, but you would think once it's brought to their attention, then it is on them not to take them down.
Exactly. Yeah. So,
Along those lines, also the action figure, someone makes it, then you get some to sign. Like, when did you obviously Nightmare on Elm Street, the whole franchise is big, but when did you realize you had a fan base of people who would like to meet you?
Very relatively recently. So, I mean, this movie was 32 years ago, which probably some people listening aren't even that old. But anyway, when we did Nightmare on Elm Street 5, and I'm sure it's pretty much the same for all the Elm Streets that were done then, most of the actors, none of us really knew how big it was. And we certainly had no clue that it would be going on this long, that it would have such a long shelf life. And that's 100% because of the fans, clearly. And it's, I had no idea. And in fact, I didn't know anything about conventions. I didn't know about interviews. I mean, I barely knew much about social media, but I think it started with when they did the documentary, Never Sleep Again.
Yeah.
Oh no. See, I can remember the silly song from when I was a little girl, but I can't remember the name of the guy, which is really, really bad. But the guy who directed it and produced it. Do you guys know Never Sleep Again?
I know the document of it, but I don't know who directed it either. But
I'm terrible. I know who it is. I just can't say the words. They're just not coming to my tongue. But anyway, so he somehow found me on Facebook.
Andrew Cash and Daniel Farrens were the directors, and Tommy Hudson is
Tommy Hudson. That's the one. Yeah. So Tommy was the one that contacted me, found me on Facebook, and interviewed me in New York. There were a few of us in New York. Most of it was in LA. And when you look at it, you see that LA has a much better set and lighting. Ours, we all look crapola. But anyway, that's okay. But while we were interviewing, I think it was Toy Newkirk from Elm Street 4 said to me, "Oh, I never see you at the cons." And I'm like, "The cons? What's the cons?" I thought maybe I don't know what she was saying. And then she's like, the horror conventions. I'm like, horror conventions? I never even knew they existed. So that's when she first told me about it. And I think Tommy was the one that set us up, a bunch of us from number 5, set us up at a convention, maybe about 8-10 years ago. And that was about it. I did one. It was great. Met lots of fans and stuff. And then it's been only recently with my new rep that I've been kind of starting to make the circuits.
Before you went to one, going in, what did you think? What they'd be like?
I heard, I knew about Trekkies, with Star Trek and that kind of stuff. And, I've seen some TV show spoofs of that. So I knew, and then of course, I knew I had lived in Japan. I spent time in Japan. So I know with all the dressing up and stuff, cosplay, how popular that can be. But for this, I had no idea what it would be like. And I didn't really know what are horror fans like. But now that I've been doing quite a few of these, oh my goodness, what wonderful people. I mean, you meet like anything in the world, we're all kinds of people. So there's all kinds of fans, but what a devoted group, I think the horror fans truly are devoted to the franchises that they love, and I, in the beginning, I used to feel really kind of nervous or upset, like a little cautious when people would tell me, "Oh, I grew up watching these things,"
right.
and oh, they meant so much to me. And I'm thinking, ooh, like you watched these when you were little, like that's a little. And then also when they bring their kids, they bring like little kids and say, "Oh, my little 3-year-old loves you. They've seen every Freddy movie." And I'm like, what? Because I got to tell you, I never let my own sons. I have 2 sons. They're both in college now, and I never let them watch my own film until now that they're in college, they can watch it. And now they won't because mom's in it. And I'm like, guys, come on. But they won't watch it because they said, "Oh, I don't want to see you give birth."
Oh, so they're too cool for that.
Yeah, I like that. That's a reason. Right?
That's what they say. Well, and then all my other films, they're like, "Oh, I don't want to watch you kissing another man," or "I don't want to watch you." I think they just don't want to watch Mom, is what it is.
Yeah.
But yeah. So I was a little nervous hearing that fans would like show their kids these movies, and I still don't know if I really agree because some of the images are. Like in number 5, anyway, Greta getting her stomach fed to herself. Like that's just, really,
Uh-huh. Yeah.
Not something that I'd want a kid to see. However, that being said, I've been asking my fans a lot about, when you say you love these films, like I get it about being, loving to get scared, because I like spooky, scary movies, but like, how can you say that this like really shaped your childhood or whatever? Like, to me, like I was thinking, I had horrible images in my mind, and you guys can tell me better if I'm wrong on this or not, but I've been getting the feeling that, for a lot of people growing up watching these horror films, well, at least the Elm Street, let's say, that you get to watch something sort of horrific, but he always gets destroyed in the end, Freddy Krueger, at least. And if you can overcome your fears and face your fears, you can kind of defeat him, which is kind of a cool sort of thing, and it might be, really cathartic for people. And then that he is kind of funny, like it kind of gives you a way to face fears and deal with horror, but with humor. And I don't know, it seems to be a cathartic thing for people. So I'm starting to really get more and more appreciation for the whole genre.
Yeah. So how would you say then, like, your view of being part of the movie, being part of the franchise has changed from like right after you did it till you started doing the conventions?
Oh, huge. I mean, right after I did it, and I hope I don't offend, any horror fans, and especially my lovely Elm Street fans, because they're like the best. But I've said this before, like when I first did it, I didn't tell anybody. I didn't tell my family. I didn't tell them that I was Freddy Krueger's mom. I don't know. It's just because they're all like professors and they live in Asia and all over the world. And I don't know, they're sort of, I thought they would have looked down on it or something. So I just kind of never said anything to anybody. And the only person in my family who saw Nightmare on Elm Street was my grandmother, of all things, my grandmother. She apparently, my name was listed in some article, some little thing in the New York Times or the Washington Post or something when it first came out. And she's like, oh, that's my granddaughter. So she, little old granny comes tottering down to the theater to see Elm Street. And apparently the guy at the ticket taker was like, excuse me, ma'am, because she came all by herself. And he's like, I don't think this is the kind of film you want to see. And she's like, well, my granddaughter's in it. And so she did see it. And afterwards I was like, oh no, Oma, what did you think? And she said, I must say I didn't really understand it, but it was a little different than I thought, but it was lovely to see you, dear. So anyhow, but yeah, it changed a lot. So, back then it was just something that I did. My director had said, or my agent said, you got to do this, meet the director. He's, up and coming and whatnot. But now to realize that I've been part of this franchise and the role, even if it's not a massive role, it's kind of iconic, like, holy smokes, I'm Freddy Krueger's mom. Like, that's kind of a pretty cool thing. And to know that I'm one of the few characters in the whole franchise that he's actually scared of.
That's true. I didn't even think of that way.
Yeah. He is, he's scared of his mom, and he backs up because she's the one thing that can defeat him. And he, it's kind of fun, even though he's very rude to me and calls me bad names.
He does. That's not very nice.
Not nice. Yeah. So
had you seen the previous movies before you took the role?
Well, I had seen number one. I saw that actually in high school with my friends, and I got totally freaked out and scared. I did enjoy it. I must say I did enjoy it. And then my confession is I did not see the other ones until mine, but now I have, because I've gotten to know so many of the actors from, it's a close-knit group. I love my cast, my number 5 group, where we kind of feel like we're a little bit of outcasts, but we all love each other very much. And then I'm starting to get to know a lot of the other ones too. Mark Patton is just an absolute doll, a sweetheart.
We're good friends with Mark. Actually, this was the first time he ever did a podcast was here, and it was right after the documentary came out.
Okay.
And that's, when at the time he was living in Mexico, and he, was, out of the limelight totally. And then kind of like you started doing the conventions really, really nice guy.
Yeah,
he's an awesome guy. And
Yeah.
Mark, well, he's actually still in Mexico. We text about every day almost now, but he's kind of coaching me on how to do Instagram and stuff like that. Cause I didn't know anything about it. And, I had like 200 or 100 followers or something, mostly from some other thing. But I've converted it over to my actors Instagram, and he gives me tips on what to do and, how to get myself out there. And, it's all kind of new to me, but Mark's a sweetheart. Everyone, yeah. And not just the Elm Street franchise, like the other horror actors that I'm meeting, that my Peter Valdrama is my rep, and he, the people that he represents, we're all getting to know each other. And it's a wonderful group, like really cool people.
You said part 5, you guys kind of feel like the outcasts, and part 2 is similar, because at the time, that wasn't. I think it has people like it more now than they did at the time.
At the time, yeah, for sure.
Go on, sir.
Oh, yeah. Well, Mark. I think the experience that Mark went through, and having had that one sort of shunned and whatever, and now having a whole new understanding of it and a whole new appreciation for it. 5 is kind of like that too. I mean, we do have people that love 5. And what I've been finding with the franchises and the fans is that whatever one was the first one they saw tends to be people's favorite. So if they saw 5 first, that's their favorite. If they saw 3 first, that's their favorite. I've heard that from a lot of fans. But kind of universally, a lot of people, say, oh, 5 sucked, and I put it down a lot. Lisa, you've had Lisa on, I think, right?
Yeah, Lisa Wilcox, yeah.
And when we do these conventions together, and whenever we are interviewed or anything, she talks a lot about how, 5 is sort of like the misunderstood child, because some of the things that we deal with, teen pregnancy, out of wedlock pregnancy, drug use, rape. I mean, there's a lot of things that are, dealt in 5 too, that were maybe not so popular. There's that aspect to it. And of course, there also is the aspect of it being the most rushed, like they had just, the 4 was so successful, they just slammed out 5, like in the same year. Who does that? In the same year they did it. And I remember it was like actually in the theaters the same, right after we, finished filming. I mean, usually you have to wait a year or 2 or whatever. And it just was wham bam, thank you, ma'am. Just, they're writing it as they're going, making it up as they're going, but I don't know. I like it. I think it's really cool. I love the whole Gothic look of it. The sets were so cool to walk them, amongst. And
I've seen it, several times, but I watched it again for the interview. And when I was watching, I was thinking that the sets are huge, and they're real. It's pre-CGI. So just being on the set, what's that like? You see in this, all these steps and all these.
Like it was so cool because it was real. Like I assumed that it would have been more, like
I think there's a matte painting in one scene, but most of the stuff's real.
Yeah. Most of the stuff's real, and most of it is, and it was huge because we did it in a warehouse. And when you walk into the set, it's almost like, being on stage, like you actually have the set around you, and it encompassed a huge part of the room instead of, so often when you're filming, whatever the audience sees, like within 2 inches to either side is, not the set. You see like the lights and the wires and the whatever, and, or just whiteness. And they only bother to paint exactly what's going to be on camera. But this actually was like large, massive rooms that were built like an entire set. So as an actor, you walk in and you really feel like you're in that room, the church scene, the hospital giving birth, the horrible hospital room where I give birth, and then of course the whole Escher scene, with Freddie with the stairs. I mean, that was there. They actually were stairs, not necessarily all the way through, I don't think, but they were stairs that went up and down. And I just remember that whole look and really feeling like I was there, like I didn't have to use my imagination. It was really, really cool.
What's the vibe on set like during the scene when you are giving birth? Because it's a pretty, vulgar scene.
It is a pretty vulgar scene, and I must say, having now given birth numerous times in real life, I did a pretty good job. Looking back at it, for someone in their 20s not knowing how to give birth, I think it came across. But I knew what pain was like. I used to have bad cramps, so. But giving birth, I think I did say this in the documentary, and it's whatever. It's just a weird thing to say, but I'm a weird person, so I was concerned having knowing that I was going to be doing this scene, because I knew that I was supposed to be in a white gown. And I also knew that the actors obviously I'd have the underwear on, of course, but I did have to have my legs open, and there was going to be somebody playing the doctor and a nurse, kind of looking at me. And this is the thing that I already did mention on in the documentary, but it was that time of the month for me. And I'm sorry if I gross you guys out, but this is the way it is. And I was really worried. It was the stupid thing that you guys never have to deal with. But as a woman, when you're having your period, you're worried if you have to wear white. It's just not a cool thing. And I was like so concerned, like, oh my gosh, what if, I leak or something, and that was my big fear and concern, and which was totally unfounded because they were throwing all this buckets of fake blood on me anyway. So no one would have known. I know, gross, but there you have it.
Yeah.
But other than that, it was fun. It was really fun.
Do you think you would have, if you were a mom when you took the role, do you think you still would have taken it, or would you have looked at the movie differently?
If I had already been a mom,
yeah,
hard to say. I mean, by the time I actually was a mom, I had more of an appreciation for what Elm Street, the whole franchise was. So, but at the time, maybe not. Maybe I would have said no. I'm not sure. Hard to say.
Yeah. Was there anything just, even before you're filming it, anything in the script that you like, besides that scene maybe, but I guess you wouldn't foresee when you're going to film that scene, but was there anything in the script, even dialogue or anything that you were like, I don't know about this?
No, it was pretty, I mean, at least I didn't have to say anything bad. I mean, he curses at me, but no, I've had worse things. And besides, to be honest with you, I don't know how much of it I had actually seen. Like I think they showed me
you said, and it's in the documentary too, that they were rewriting it as it was going on.
As it was going on, yeah. And it was the absolute only time like I was hired literally on the spot. I mean, I don't know if they were either, it was there in such a big rush, or I looked so much like Freddie, or I don't know what, I don't really know why they instantly were like, oh, that's it, you're her. But they hired me on the spot. And that, as I said, never happens. You always get a call back if they're interested, and then another call back and a screen test. And
I saw you played a nun before too. So maybe
maybe. I think it's because I sang for them. I sang a creepy little spooky nursery rhyme and some creepy Catholic music, which they ended up using, which I don't have any credit for. But when I watched the film at home one time, I was like, wait a second, that's me. It is me. I'm singing that thing.
Oh, wow.
You know that? In the
background. I didn't know that. That's pretty wild. Yeah.
I had learned some weird Catholic, not weird. I learned a Catholic hymn in a play I was in way back before college, even Once a Catholic. And so I started to sing that, but like just imagining what that would sound like, kind of echoing through the halls. And I guess they liked that idea, so they stuck it in there. But yeah.
No, I think that's pretty wild. What was the audition like? So you sang that song on the audition?
I sang this song. Yeah, I went in. So it was Tommy. It was who all was there? I'm trying to think. There was like 3 or 4 people all in the room. Robert Englund was not in the room. But as I sat there, and they had a couple sides for me to read, we were all trying to determine, like, is she dead? Am I dead? Like, is Amanda Kruger dead? Am I a ghost? Am I alive? Like, what the hell am I? Like, how do you want me to deliver this line? And they had no clue. They're like, I don't know. Try it a few different ways. So I tried it a few different ways, and we kind of played with it. And then we had a good time. We had fun. I mean, I gotta tell you, by the time I had done audition for this, I had been, nobody here would know me, but I was kind of known in Canada. I was becoming like the it girl, because I had worked in Canada for about 10 years, and I had starred in a couple of films just before that. And I was becoming, getting kind of a name as an actor in Canada. So I've auditioned, thousands of times by this point. So it was pretty easy. I felt comfortable. I, chit-chatted. And I think that my comfort level also made them comfortable, and it definitely helped. But
was acting always something you wanted to do?
Yeah. Since I was a little kid, I wanted to act, and I wanted to work with horses. Those are the 2 things that I wanted to do.
Did you get to work with horses?
I did. Actually, my agent and I, when I was living in Vancouver, my agent and I bought a beautiful thoroughbred mare at a show off-season show. She was a racehorse, and she just, trust me, Soda, that was her name. And she was very, very fast, but she hated to be ahead of the other horses. So whenever she'd start to run, she could like go out of the gate really well. But then as soon as she noticed that, hey, my buddies are back there, she would stop, which I think wasn't very good for a racehorse. So they sold her for $300.
That's good then.
Yeah. So no, we had her, but I had originally thought about going into horse training or working with horses somehow. And when I compared the cost of equestrian schools, which are like down in Tennessee and whatnot, and my theater school, I could afford theater school. I couldn't afford equestrian school. So that's what I did. So I ended up going to theater school in Canada, University of Victoria, the theater program there. So it was a 4-year program, and then started acting right out the gate. Actually, in fact, I just saw it yesterday. Did I put it on my, I found a photocopy of my check. My very first, here it is. Hold on. So my very first paycheck as an actor was, this was in Canada, October 29th, 1984, which I graduated in 84. And it was for $1,020. Act 4 personal management. This is a photocopy. I kept of it. And you know what it was for? It was for who's that big evangelical guy on TV? Think of Billy Graham. It says right here.
Okay. Wow.
So it was for Billy Graham crusade. Yeah, it says that right there. It was a commercial for a Billy Graham crusade, and I was this lost, confused teenager, and I'm just wistfully thinking about what am I going to do with my life. And by the end of it, I end up going, I guess, to the Billy Graham crusade or something like that. But anyway, so that was my first paycheck as an actor.
That's pretty wild. Yeah,
Yeah, that's great.
What kind of like movies or TV, or was it theater? What was it that drew you to acting?
I think it might be similar to why a lot of people are drawn to horror. And I can say this because I know my parents will never listen to this interview, but well,
they're big fans.
No, well, my biological father died when I was little. He was born in 1896.
Wow.
Yeah, he'd be 125, my own father. So he was about 40 years older than my mom. And then my mom, she was his student in college. So little. Anyway, and then she ended up marrying a guy 9 years younger and whatever. Anyway, and then so growing up, we moved all over the place. We lived in Japan for 4 years. We lived in England. We lived in Canada. We were moving all the time. And without going into much detail, there was a lot of, traumatic moments in my childhood. And then plus, well, for sure would have been nowadays considered abuse. I mean, the way we get hit with sticks and, whatever. And then I also had, personal tragedies and stuff like that. And somehow the idea of being on camera, do you guys remember that show Zoom? Come on and zoom, 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 zoom.
Troy's my older brother, by the way.
Zoom was the best. Yeah, I'd watch it on PBS when Neal was just a little tiny kid.
Oh, so Troy, so you might know this. Remember this on Zoom?
Oh, yeah. Absolutely. Zoom
that.
taught me what a SAISY was. You'd send in a self-addressed stamped envelope.
Yeah. Box 350, Boston, Mass. Oh,
yes,
2134.
Send it to Zoom. Yeah,
right, exactly. Yeah,
we're in Massachusetts, by the way.
There you go.
Yeah.
So on Zoom. Oh, my son is going to Northeastern.
Oh, nice, awesome.
Yeah, that's out there. But on Zoom, they would have had this segment. So for those of you who don't know, Zoom is these meetings. But well before these meetings, well before COVID, Zoom was a TV show. I think public, was it on
PBS
or something?
Yeah.
And
it was like on, I think, right after Sesame Street or the Electric Company or something
like that. Yeah. And it was a kids program, and it would have kids, doing activities, and they would have guest stars and whatever. But they always had this one segment where they would look at a kid from often like another place in the world, And it just kind of followed them, like a day in the life of some kid maybe living on some island where they'd have to take a boat to school or things like that. And so what I did when I was having traumatic times or whatever, I don't know, and when things were tough in my life, I just pretended that I was one of those kids on TV. And I don't know, it just helped me. So I would just kind of just imagine that I was an actor and they're people are watching this, trauma going on. And it just comforted me, I guess. I don't know. So I always would escape to that kind of imaginary world. I think for a lot of actors, they get solace from playing someone else. And it just was very useful and helpful, and I enjoyed it. And then so I started, and I also love to sing and whatever. So I would act in school plays, and I won awards, for doing that, and just kept going with it. Just always loved it. And in fact, I was in my first play. I have a photo somewhere. I was 5 years old in Japan. We lived in Japan for 4 years when I was a little girl, and when we first moved, of course, none of us spoke Japanese, so. The only words that the kids, my other classmates, knew was cat and dog. So I always would play the cat or the dog whenever they would play games, so I'd just be on my all fours walking around all the time. And then in the school play, my gosh, when I think of it, it was so un-PC. I mean, mind you, this was the 60s, but I remember like they had a kid in blackface. Ugh, now that I think on it. Anyway, there was that. I think it was like Little Sambo going through the jungle or something, and I played
we lost Neal. Oh, there he is.
Oh, there we go. Oh, maybe that was a PC thing turning us off, so that didn't come on. But anyway, but yeah.
I think you're muted, Neal.
Am I muted?
No, I think Neal is.
Oh, okay. Oh yes, Neal is muted. Oh boy. I think we're being censored here.
Maybe that's it.
Yeah, because I'm talking about un-PC things. Anyway, I played a tiger or something like that in that one.
Running around the tree, turning into butter, right?
There you go. Yeah.
Yep.
And then I also played a tree and something else, and things like that. So I've been enjoying acting since I was a little kid. No.
Yeah, I'm back now. Yeah, I lost the internet connection, but I don't know how this happens, but it's continued to live stream it and record it.
Okay.
But we're all good. But
we're all good.
Maybe they are trying to take us down here.
Maybe they're following you. I'm telling you.
Yeah. So once you started to do the acting, was it your goal to go to movies or do theater, or what was your goal once you started to get into it?
Well, originally theater. I love theater. Being in front of an audience is just pretty powerful. It's a wonderful thing. But I was very fortunate to start my career in Vancouver, because Vancouver, Canada, British Columbia, which is kind of known as Hollywood North. So many TV series and films are filmed there. So there's always opportunity for actors to get a lot of work. Little like guest star one-liners, things like that. Like you can really build up your resume in Vancouver. But what I love about the community there is, unlike in Hollywood, where you really get put into a box pretty quickly, in Canada, there's a lot of flow. You can be on stage one day, then do TV, and then do film, and then go back to stage, then do some radio, then do a commercial. There's no I can't think of the word, but but in Hollywood, that's really frowned upon. Like they like to really know you're this and you're that. You're a TV actor. I think that's starting to change now with Netflix and things. Now I think there is more fluidity. You see film actors are doing TV.
Yeah.
But back in the day, it was one or the other. Like you really had to kind of assign yourself.
Everybody seemed to kind of, want to
I think
put everybody in a box.
Just like the last 20 years or so, I think that changed. I kind of think I remember when 24 was big. It was kind of a thing because the main guy,
Kiefer Sutherland.
Kiefer Sutherland.
Yeah.
He was considered a big actor, and then
from Canada.
TV. Yeah. Yep. Yeah, there you go. Yeah, it all ties together.
Actually, a lot of them are Canadian.
Yeah.
But I mean, I'm actually not. I never was Canadian, but I was called a landed immigrant or permanent resident or something like that when we were living in Canada. But but so lots of fun there. Yeah. Did I answer? I can't remember what you
Yeah,
asked.
definitely. Did you now you mentioned you watched Nightmare on Elm Street, the first one when you're in high school. Now, would you
Yeah.
consider yourself a horror movie fan at all at that time?
No, definitely not.
Yeah.
I mean, I did like spooky movies, and the 60s and 70s were great for that. Like there were a lot of, we'd have these, Karen Black, right?
Yeah.
Trilogy of horror and,
Yeah.
all these, and I loved, and I think also even more than that, I think it was my upbringing in Japan, the 4 years in Japan really established the love of creepy and spooky things. So they can be very gory too. Japanese films can definitely have a lot of blood, but they also can do a lot without any of it, where they really don't show much, but it's, what's insinuated, and usually like something very beautiful, a beautiful maiden from the back, in her kimono and her long, beautiful hair. And then like painfully, slowly, the head turning and turning, and you're wondering what the hell is going to be there, because everything else is so beautiful, and then she turns around and looks like this. No, but so I just and I was told lots and lots of creepy stories growing up, but I've always loved a good scare, but I guess the big gory stuff I've never been into. And
Well, there's a good thing about horror movies. There are all different kinds, because you do have people who are into the gory stuff and people are more into psychological horror and or comedy horror. There's all different types of horror. So
yeah, I'm even learning to love zombie films now with those. What got me onto those was the Korean ones, with the train.
Oh yeah, Train to Busan.
Yeah.
Yep.
And
did you see the prequel to it, the animated one? It's really good too.
Oh, is it?
Yeah.
No, I haven't.
Seoul Station, I think it's called.
Oh, okay. Like the Seoul, the country, or Seoul?
Yeah.
Okay.
Seoul, the country.
Oh, I'll take a look at that. And I love Squid Games. Oh my gosh.
Squid Games is great. Yeah.
Right. And I guess my thing with gore, well, not just gore, but I mean violence and gore is, as a mom, like my concern is, are we promoting it in a way that really, are we desensitizing ourselves too much to it? And is that why we do have all these mass shootings in school and stuff like that? I don't know. I do feel like there's a certain sense of responsibility as a performer, as anyone in the film industry should have a sense of responsibility. Is that what is it that we're putting out there? And as long as it's entertaining, as long as if it can be just cathartic, it can be, a good scare or help people to kind of get rid of their inner demons without inspiring them to go out and do these things, then maybe it's okay. But I do think about that kind of stuff, like when I take on a role, like right now that I'm starting to interact with so many of my wonderful fans, I've been invited to take part in a number of films, and I'm actually ready to go back into the acting industry, because I'm finally, as of this year, I'm an empty nester, and I made the commitment that I was going to put acting away and focus on being kids, because I had kids so late in life that I figured if I'm going to have them, I want to be their mom. I want to be their full time. And some people can do both very well, but most people can't. One or the other will suffer, either their career or their parenting. So I just chose to focus on my kids. But now that they're moved out, I'm ready to come back. And I'm thinking about it. Like, there's a lot of slasher films, and I would love to play I'd love to play the bad guy. I'd love to play some wicked, creepy, whatever, just for fun. But are we doing it just for, I don't know. I don't know. I have to think about that. I like a good story. I like a creepy story.
I do think on the positive side, a lot of genre films, both horror and sci-fi, you can do a lot of social commentary in them as well.
True.
Like the new Candyman, or lots of films.
Right. And that's what I do like about Elm Street. I think like the really hardcore fans that love Freddy and watch him through all the movies have their different opinions of how he's changed when they make him too comedic or this or that. But what I love about the whole concept of Nightmare on Elm Street is that he gets you through your personal fears, and so that I don't know if I'm just trying to justify it, but I'm a yoga teacher, and I grew up with that sort of yogic philosophy, and truly our fears are what hold us back in life. Did you guys ever see this movie? Again, people hated it, but I loved it, called Defending Your Life.
I've not seen that.
It was
Sounds familiar.
yeah, it's and I'm gonna blow it again because I'm terrible with names.
I'll cheat and bring it up.
Yeah, if one of you can like Zoom while we're doing, I think it's like, is it Meryl Streep and who's the guy with curly hair, the comedian?
Oh, Albert Brooks is in it.
Yes, Albert Brooks.
Okay, yeah, I do remember that.
Yeah, so that film, which so many people said, I loved it, and but the whole idea is that after you die, you end up in this sort of middle place, and then you have to defend your life. You're in court, and they review your life, and there's somebody that's trying to show, the good points of your life, and somebody that's trying to, the opposing people are showing the bad parts of your life. And Albert Brooks, who's the main star, thinks that it's all about whether you're a good person or not, like whether you did good deeds, and the time that you push the kid down the stairs, is that going to stop you from being reborn or whatever. But in the end, the whole point of it was that how much did you live life, like how well did you overcome your fears, basically, and that was the point. Like, you deserve to get another life if you really embrace life and were willing to go past your fears and live life fully. Not necessarily going around murdering people, of course, but no, so
whatever you're into.
Whatever you're into. But so that's what I do kind of like the whole idea. Like, if you think about it with Freddy Krueger, it's like, how do you overcome this dude? Face your fears and don't let him get through your fears. And that actually can be a pretty powerful message if we wanted to think of it that way. So I shall think of it that way.
Yeah, you said you watched. Did you ever see Wes Craven's A New Nightmare, which is like kind of the meta version of the Friday the Nightmare on Elm Street movies, where everyone plays themselves?
Yeah.
I thought it's like one of the most interesting of the sequels, because it kind of asks about the fans who, why are we drawn to the villain of the movie? And
right.
I thought that whole idea, that whole concept was really well done, and the movie's about, it conjures Freddy into reality because fans are into him. It's interesting,
right? Yeah. So there's a lot of juicy stuff there.
Yeah.
But
and quick about Train to Busan, what I always think is really cool about it, because I've seen lots of zombie movies, and since it's a Korean zombie movie, like I said, there's no guns in it, where most American zombie movies, everyone just shooting the zombies in the head. And so it's like, how do they deal with this without, having to shoot it?
Yeah.
You're right. Yeah. You know what? I hadn't even noticed that. I wonder if that's why I liked it so much. But a lot
of the Korean ones are really pretty well thought out.
Yeah, the host is good too. It's a big monster movie.
Host is good.
They develop their characters so well.
Yeah. And they have a definite sense of family in all their movies too.
Right. Yeah. That family and belonging. What was that one? Parasite.
Parasite. Yeah. That's a great one.
And again, I was a little bummed at the end, but because I don't know why they should have come together, like the downstairs hidden people, but whatever. But I love all of them have really great character development. And I think that's the thing. And the thing with Squid Game that I both loved, and that does concern me a little, is that, the thing that initially turned me off was, the very first time I saw it, and I saw it because my sons, when I saw the first episode, everybody was getting shot and killed and everything. I'm like, oh, this is just gross. Like all these people getting killed, but the characters drew you in. They were the old man and the lady and the girl, and you just get really drawn into the characters. So you start following them. And I got to admit, like myself, I totally got acclimatized to the violence. So you're like, okay, well, they're all going to get killed, so the next, and that it's going to happen. They're going to be shot. There's going to be blood. Is that good? Is that bad to get desensitized? I mean, it's fake, and I know that, and it's drama. It's on the, it's make believe. So I don't know. I really don't know. But I did love it. I did really, I thought it was so cool. Really, really great characters.
So a lot of people in the chat, Le Chatier, I'm sorry if I butchered your name, but he wants to, or he or she, I'm not sure, wants to know, do you have any upcoming projects? You mentioned you had conversations about things.
Yeah. So, well, I mean, aside from a few shows coming up, and also the shows, if anyone's watching and anyone wants to meet me or whoever you want to meet, request us to your local shows.
Yeah.
That's how we get on there. And I will say this, I won't say any names or anything, but I will let you all in on a secret. There's a lot of politics, unfortunately, in
Yes,
these events.
yes, there is.
And it's sad. Like, it's really crazy that it should just be, the event, people hosting events should get the actors and the fans together. That's what it's about. It's celebrating who the actors want to see and making it fun for everyone. And unfortunately, so often it's about who knows who likes who doesn't like who you're represented by. If the show owner likes your rep, then you get to be in the show. If not, you don't. This, that, and the other. And even amongst the franchises, sometimes, different reps don't like other reps. And, there's all this weirdness. I think it's crazy. I've yet to be in a show together with Robert. And that's a really disservice to the fans.
Wow.
Because to have Freddie and his mom together, like, there's so many fun photo ops. There's so many fun.
Oh yeah, that would be amazing.
Right. And just a lot of really cool things. People love Amanda Kruger, and of course they love Freddie Kruger. And why wouldn't they be together? So if anyone,
a great panel too,
right? Wouldn't it be
do
fun?
a Q&A with everybody.
Yeah. So, I mean, there's all kinds of stuff, I mean, I was the second actor to play Amanda. So she appears the first time in number 3, played by Nan Martin, who, a wonderful actress who unfortunately is no longer with us, but, she was an older lady, and whether there was sometimes people don't like when a character is changed, but, that's out of our control. I was cast, and of course, actor, I'm not going to say, no, I'm not going to take that role. Somebody else had it before, but, there's that, but there's also other just weird politics, which I won't get into, but hopefully that will change. And hopefully,
I think 2011 or 2010 is when we started to do the conventions, and Mark Patton, we brought up, he recommended me do the panels. That's how I started to do panels. And at the time, I knew nothing about the political side, and Mark started to tell me things to watch out for, and all of them came true. And I won't say the convention either, but there was a certain one that was a lot of weird politics
stuff.
and strange.
Which is it's such a pity. It's like,
there's no need for any of it.
No, and of course, people are people, and of course, people are going to have those they like and those they don't like. But it's like, if you're putting on a fan convention, think about your fans. Just get over it and put the people together that want to be together, and we all have to do it. Whatever job we have, there's always going to be somebody we don't like to necessarily work with that much, but you just grin and bear it. That's what life's about. And you get the job done as best as possible. And I just think it's a pity when people's petty likes and dislikes end up, causing the fans to miss out. So anyway.
Mentioned you haven't done a convention with Robert Englund, but what was Robert Englund like, on set? Was he
well, I think for most of us in 5, we had a different experience, purely because of the rush factor. So, because Robert is, he's just famous for his stories and, loving to talk and on a lot of the other film sets, you hear all these stories about, you got to get him to shut up so that you can get on with the show.
Even at conventions, because he'll have a giant line, and I've been to him, and he'll want to talk to everybody, which is great. But there's also a giant line, so
exactly. So with that bearing in mind, but with 5, we were so rushed, and it was the only film I've ever been on where more than one scene is being filmed at the same time. And so the director literally will, he'll be there obviously for the main shot. But another, the second crew will be setting up another scene, getting that ready with the stand-ins, getting the lighting, everything done, so that as soon as we say cut on this set, as soon as the take is good, the director will run off, the main actors will run to the next scene and go. So there wasn't, on 5, there really wasn't as much time to be able to really sit around and hang out. Certainly not for Robert, because he was in so many of the different scenes. So he and I didn't actually even, maybe that's part of it too. We really never got a lot of chance to connect. The few times we were together, it was, he was great. But, and I remember at the time, I'm trying to think if I ever saw him out of makeup. I don't think so, because we were going so fast that each time I saw him, he was in makeup. So I'm kind of, I'm looking at that mask, that
Right.
face, and so it was a little odd. And I remember as an actor just focusing on looking at that face and, just really trying to conjure up the part of me that loved him. Like, I hope that if anything came through in those short scenes was, that Amanda did love him. And in fact, that's what I'm working on right now is Amanda's story.
Well, interesting.
And kind of it gives more of the background of Freddy Krueger, and because so many fans ask so much about it, and I think that it's come to me, why she ended up, why did Amanda become a nun in the first place? What got her in there? And yeah.
Is this something you're writing, or is it?
Yes. Yes.
Interesting.
Here, can I read you the first line?
Yeah, of course.
Love that. Yeah,
Okay.
please do.
You think it began with my merciless rape in the West Hills Asylum? The 100 patients you all refer to as maniacs attacking me and taking turns violating me? No, it goes back, way back, before I was even born. That's how it starts. But it goes in, it's gonna, it kind of talks about the background of the Krugers, and then Amanda, how that whole thing came to be, how she ended up there, and then it kind of fills in some of the blanks too of what was going on with her regarding Freddie as he was growing up, because she put him up for adoption. And was that willingly, or was she forced to because she was in the nunnery? What actually happened there, and how much contact did she, if at all, have with Freddie growing up? So, and I get to tell you that.
Yeah,
I like it. That sounds great.
Yeah, very interested in this.
Mark actually inspired me, because Mark Patton did,
Because he does a lot about his, his character.
Yeah,
He did the
with
diaries
Jesse.
and stuff. Yeah, Jesse.
Yeah, and a few of the other actors have done similar kind of things, so I think it's kind of cool.
Yeah, even some of the people I know from like the Hellraiser series have done, backstories on like the Cenobites they play.
Right.
It's interesting,
Yeah.
and like I said, because there's the big fan base there that's interested in these characters and know their backstory, and
Yeah.
and I'm sure it's interesting for you to sit and think about it.
Yeah, which is also really fun with well, because as an actor, like, are either of you actors? Do you ever?
I've been in things I wouldn't necessarily consider myself an actor, but yeah.
Well, so in theater training, like as an actor, the character development is a big important part. Because even the best written script, whether it's a screenplay or a play, a theatrical play, they will give you a little background on the character, but obviously not a whole lot. And that is part of the actor's job, is your character development. You to be a real person, and it doesn't matter if you're on screen or on the stage for 5 minutes or 2 hours, your character has to be real, right? So your character has to have had parents, has to have come from somewhere. Where were they just before they walked onto stage, or into the room, and how do they feel? How do they get along with these other actors, the other characters? So part of our job is always coming up with the history of our character that we play. So it's a kind of a natural thing. We all kind of have made up in our minds, who these people are. And so Amanda, what I came up with, my background story of why I'm a nun and all that, it's kind of fun to like put it down on paper and then share it with the fans, which, so we'll see where that goes.
Yeah, I'm sure it's too early to say, what your plans are with it.
Yeah, it is. But Mark Patton has got some great ideas. He's wonderful. And here's a little something to show you. This is like, I don't know if you can tell, but these are
spotlighted here for everybody.
There you go. These are really these are strong metal.
Oh wow, yeah, you can hear them too.
Yeah, they're pretty strong metal. Like they could do some damage.
Yeah, be careful if you use it as a back scratcher.
I do. I actually do. Like, oh, and then like and I keep ripping all my shirts. But anyway. Oh, and while I'm here, I also want to show you guys Mike LeBlanc. Some of you have seen this.
Oh, nice.
Oh, yeah, very nice.
Yeah, this a Canadian artist, Mike LeBlanc, one of my friends on Facebook had done it for me. And he's done a lot of stuff. He's done for Lisa Wilcox and for Robert, quite a fun artist.
Sweet.
That's a great one.
Yeah, and I've been finding some really cool Amanda artwork that people have done. So I mean, she's definitely a loved, or character that has
Something like
intrigued
that would
people.
make. I know you probably couldn't use the logo and everything, but something like that would make a very cool T-shirt.
Oh,
Right? Yeah. Actually, that's some of the things I wanted to find out too, is what are we and what are we not allowed to
Put on like for
use
merchandise.
and do. Yeah,
I'm sure you couldn't put the name, the title.
right.
But I'm like, I think if you would reference, I have no idea. Don't take my, I don't know. But I would think if you would, the likeness of your character without like the name would.
Right.
But yeah, I doubt like Freddie would be. But.
Yeah, I mean, I'm fortunate in that way that she was a nun, because I mean, heck, of course I can be a nun. I've been a nun
I
many
have
times.
noticed, again, don't quote me on any of this, but for the horror world is much more lenient than some other things that I've dealt with. Because I also do pro wrestling things, and they're very litigious. They'll sue you for anything.
Oh boy. Okay. Yeah. Well, I do have to be careful, but I mean, Elm Street passed hands so many times. When we were filming, it was New Line Cinema, but I get all my residual checks from Warner Brothers now. So me and Bugs Bunny, we get checks from the same place.
Very cool. Yeah.
That's also wonderful. I'll tell you that. I mean, all of us feel so dang grateful. Like, who else gets paid from something you did 32 years ago?
Yeah, and not only directly, like indirectly going to the conventions and
exactly. And all that stuff, which really is, I mean, it's 100% about meeting the fans. It's just, who wouldn't love to, have people telling you how much they appreciated what you did. Like, it's just wonderful. And I've learned so much from it. And then of course, the other part that's just fabulous is just hanging out with my co-stars to, we just get to catch up this way and get to know each other. And also the actors from the other franchises, and then also just the vendors and the fans. It's just a fun group of people.
That's why I was like, when we started going to the conventions, everyone really is. It's not like anyone looks down on anybody. It's everyone's there. They all have the same love of the genre and they have a good time.
Right. And don't you like, I see
it's a very accepting crowd. Like, because there are people that you would look at and you think, well, that guy's a horror fan. He's got a bunch of tattoos and wears a black t-shirt. And then there'd be somebody who looks like an accountant or something, but they're all horror fans and everyone likes everybody.
Right. And little old ladies and, all kinds, every kind. And then the vendors, like I've met so many cool, interesting people. And I come back from every show with some fun, different little gifts, like different comics or books or stories or things that people have done, and you just meet people of all kinds of people that that I meet lots of people that I probably wouldn't meet otherwise if it weren't for these conventions. So it's kind of fun. And of course, at heart, we all have, no matter who the person is, we all have something in common, and it's nice to be able to meet people that I wouldn't meet otherwise. So
yeah. I do have to ask you about the birth scene. When you see the actual little Freddy, like the doll, what goes through your mind? Because it's cute in its own way, but it's also monstrous.
Monsters. Well, I gotta say, I love that little monsters thing. I guess it's in the same way that you'd love like a, I don't know, bulldog. No, bulldogs are really cute. I don't know.
They're very cute.
But there's certain things that are kind of cute in an ugly way.
Like me.
Oh yeah, there you go. You're adorable. So no, but the Freddy, I mean not no. Yes. Okay. Stop. Hi, husband dear. Anyway, now you got me all flustered. I don't even know what I was saying. Oh, my baby. Yes. Mm-hmm. I love that little baby. And somebody, I was just at the and I am not forgetting your question, but I was at the Brooklyn Horror Con, and somebody has one. It was like $800. They bought a actual remake of that.
Oh wow, that's cool.
Of that baby. You can buy it from the guy who made the original mold. So he brought me that thing to sign. And I was really honored because I think Robert was the only other one that had signed it. So but anyway, I look at that little creature and I find it adorable, and I actually would want one. So if anyone wants to give me a present, they can send me that doll. But when I was giving birth, it was really cool because I was very excited to, they used a number of different things. So, at first, they're reaching and they grab, and you've probably heard this, I have said it on other interviews. The first thing that they're holding is a cat. It's actually a live living cat that they put in a blanket because they needed to have the motion. They needed to have something that wiggles and then leaps out of the nun's hands, the nurse. So they decided to use a cat because that could actually leap, and they filmed it quick enough. It was short enough of a scene that all you see is like a little flash of motion. And then instantly, then it cuts to the first robotic little guy. And he's like, he can turn his head and he's like, they add all that creepy little sound. And then, so you see that little robotic one, and he was really adorable too, in his creepy little way. And then when he goes running away, you hear that little wet feet flip, flap, 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 and it sounds like a frog. What is that called? Like suction, not suction.
I don't know what that is.
Like a webbed.
Yeah, I don't know what they are called, but yeah.
Yeah, so his little feet sound like little webbed, like flap, 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 and you hear his little, and then the next one is that mole, that creature, and that a little bit larger, and that has different motion that could do. And then from there on, then it was different sizes of actors. They actually had a really little guy, and then slightly bigger, and then they had the biggest guy, and Freddie, and they quickly cut between those. So I loved looking at that little guy. And where is he? Here he is.
Oh, I didn't even actually notice it the first time, but yeah, he's right on there.
Yeah, my little baby. There you go. Isn't he cute?
Oh, dude.
Look at that face.
I think he's adorable.
I do. I don't know. Anyway.
Le Chater says that they freeze frame that scene and you can actually see the cat for a second.
Oh, really? Awesome. Yeah, I'd mentioned that too. It might have been, that name sounds familiar. Wait, say it again.
Le Chater.
Chater. Well, because there was a
I
guy.
might not be pronouncing it right, but I don't know.
Okay. I don't know if that's the guy that I had met in Brooklyn, but I'd mentioned it to a couple of people, and I said, if they can freeze frame it, they might be able to catch that cat. I've never been able to see it just as a flash, but if you slow it down enough, I imagine you'd be able to see it because that's what they used.
Yeah.
But I found that whole thing just so fascinating how they had these different actors portraying him at the different stages. Yeah.
How about Whitby Herford, who plays Jacob?
Yeah. So Whitby. So we hadn't seen each other since we filmed. And when we filmed together, he was 10 years old. Mm-hmm. And then I met him. We've done 2 shows together now, and we're going to do more because we have the same rep. And by the way,
real quick, it says she is Nicole from Brooklyn.
Oh, okay. All right. Awesome. Hello. So he's great. He's done all kinds of other stuff since then. He was in Jurassic Park. He was on I don't know, Whit, you've got to promote your own stuff.
Yeah, you could, right.
Yeah, he's got a bunch of stuff, but no, he's great.
Little movie we call Jurassic Park.
Jurassic Park, exactly. And in Star Wars, I think he did the voiceover of somebody on a Star Wars cartoon or something like that. He's done a bunch of stuff. He's great, so he's part of my number 5 gang. And so I was with him at his very first convention. So I got to break him in. Little in joke between, but anyway, no. So he's great, and he's really, I think, enjoying being able to hang out with us now because he tells a lot of stories about how when we were filming he was only 10 and we were all like in our 20s and 30s or how old were we? 30s, 20s? I don't know, whatever. We were grown-ups in any case at the time, young adults, and he was just a kid. And he said, he'd tell stories about how he'd be sitting there. He was so wanted to hang out with Lisa and Danny and all of us. And then his mom would say, "Come on, Whit, sit down here. Let me brush your teeth," or whatever, and he'd be like, "Mom," and now he gets to actually hang out with us. So, because as we all know, once you're past whatever it is, 20 something, then we just all.
Yeah, everyone's together. Basically the same. There's a big difference between 10 and 30 and 30, right. 30 and 50 is not, that much different. Exactly. In personality anyway. Yeah. Well, that's cool. So AJ Wyatt, he wants to know, Beatrice, what was the candy glass scene? I'm trying to the candy glass scene was like struggling and fighting Freddie with Freddie. How was filming it?
candy glass. Dude, what's he talking about?
Was there breakaway glass? Like, I guess maybe like sugar glass is what they call it.
When fighting Freddy with Freddy, I don't know what he's talking about. I mean, when Freddy.
Oh, here we go. He reworded. He says, every word. Sorry about that. What was it like doing the fighting Freddy's hand scene with the glass?
Yeah. Well, that whole scene, that was my big disappointment in the filming, because the one thing I was really looking forward to doing at Elm Street and doing a horror film was the special effects, because they have such awesome special effects people. They have such awesome makeup people. And first of all, I didn't get to wear a stitch of makeup. It was just, she's a nun. So it's like, just give me foundation. No, they didn't give me any makeup. So whatever. So I didn't get any of the makeup, aside from them dumping blood on me when,
right,
when I'm giving birth. But then, when I had read the script, okay, his hand's going to come ripping out. Well, that first of all was an added scene, because originally I was going to take him back in, which if anyone hasn't seen the film, I don't take him back in the way he came out. Please.
Yeah, he absorbed it.
Goes in a different way.
Yeah,
that would have been okay if that was in the script. No. Shove him back in. Can you imagine? Oh my God! And with
that's a different movie.
It's a totally different.
Totally, different kind of genre. No. Certainly not that I would tell. I've never done.
Right.
And with his claws, ouch. Anyway, no. So I absorbed him back into me. That was in the original script, and then it was that I would take him and throw ourselves into the room with 100 maniacs and thus destroy him and myself. So I that was really cool. And then while we were filming, they, as I told you, they kept rewriting, and they're like, at one point Robert had said he didn't want to do any more. This was going to be his last. He's done. Apparently he says that after every film, but but then I guess they thought better of it and thought, well, we better have some option for him to come back should we decide to do more. So that's when they decided, okay, instead of her just destroying them both by going into the maniacs, we'll have him rip his claw out of her body. So when I saw that, I was all excited. Oh, what are they going to do? Because I saw all those cool mechanical things. And as you probably heard or know, the great exciting mechanical thing was my own bloody hand. It was just, really dumb. And so I had to.
Well, that's cool. Sometimes the easy things like that work.
Well, I guess, but I was looking forward to it, and I was thinking like, what are they going to do? But instead, they had me, stand kind of slightly to the side. They built a fake front of my chest, a fake right hand, and they had my fake right hand holding my real hand, like a nun, like this, and then my real right hand was underneath my nun's habit, which I could have had an elephant hiding under there. Put whatever you want in a nun's habit. And so they all they did was they gave me the glove, filled it full of guts and gross stuff, and then on cue I just had to rip it out and then fight with my own hand, which I don't know, it just seemed to me so, I don't know, elementary school,
I was going to say you were doing that when you were 5,
Yeah.
Do that again. Yeah.
So that was my big exciting special effects scene.
I like it.
But yeah, so that was it.
Watching it again, this might be a silly question, but I just wondered, was there any problem filming with pigeons? Because
yeah. The pigeons. Well, they always tell you, working with animals and working with babies, and
right. So you did both.
And it's true. I worked with both. Well, no,
not you, baby.
Not you, Whit. I'm not talking about you. You're a young man. I'm talking about the baby Freddy. But yeah, the pigeons. It was quite the thing. I had the scene where I come out and the pigeons are flying all over the place. They had the pigeon wranglers, and so I think there were a couple of them, and they were on either side of the church door with big buckets full of, or not buckets, cages with these pigeons. And on cue, they would take them and toss them towards me so that you'd see them all fluttering up in the, and so the first time they filmed, they're all fluttering all over the place. And this is not a joke. One freaking lands on my head, takes a poop on my head.
I'm sorry to laugh, but yeah.
Yeah, so they had to, just on cue, now my cat's about to come join us. Oh, you heard about filming with animals, huh, really? Anyway, see you. Are you there, Rolly? I can't see what you can see. But anyway, so the pigeon, so one lands on my head. So cut, they have to, redo.
Oh, very cute.
Yeah, isn't it cool? That's Rolly.
Hello
Anyway.
there. Nice.
And so then so that, cleaned off my habit, do it again, pull back the pigeons, take 2. And I'm coming out, your birth was the curse on the whole of humanity. A pigeon lands on my hand. It just kept happening. And then one time the pigeon bonked me in the face. So that was the one scene we had to do over and over because of the pigeons. But I must say, oh, cat, you're ruining my picture.
But it looks better than CG pigeons.
Yeah. So it actually ended up pretty cool. They I think it really adds to the atmosphere of that church, having those pigeons fly around and such. Yeah, I've worked with animals before. I worked with my favorite animal was I worked with a chimpanzee on a Canadian TV series called Danger Bay, and I was the scientist who was teaching the chimpanzee sign language, and it was just awesome because I love monkeys and apes, and this little chimp, he was very well trained, and he'd be standing next to me, and during the cut, when we weren't filming, the trainer didn't want the ape to have anything to do with me because they wanted him to focus on the trainer. So the trainer would say, I could hold it, I could have my hands at my side and they would be next to me with the chimpanzee. And then as soon as they'd say action, then they'd let go. So the chimp would hold my hand and jump up on me. Well, whenever we were filming, between takes, we'd be standing next to each other and the little chimpanzee wanted to hold my hand. And so his little hand would come up, and my hand's like this, and he'd try to touch my fingers. And I wanted to hold his hand, and then the trainer would go, no, pull it away. And he'd pull it back.
That would be the toughest part, I think.
Yeah. And they kept doing that over and over. And this little chimpanzee hand kept coming up towards my hand with his little fingers. So cute. Anyway. And have you ever had a chimpanzee snuffle inside your ear? It's the
I have
cutest
not.
thing.
I don't know about my brother here, but
I'm a little envious, but no.
Anyway, it's very cute, little chimpanzee snuffling in your ear.
sounds very cute. Did you go to see the movie when it Nightmare on Elm Street Part 5 when it came out to the theaters?
Yes, yeah. I think, did we all see it together? I think we might have all seen it or was I already gone? Was I already in India? Gosh, isn't that crazy? I seem to have this vague memory of watching it in the theater, but then that might have been two films that I filmed in, actually, I think you can see them in the background.
Yeah, we got Matinee and
Quarantine. Quarantine. Those are two films I starred in. They're Canadian films, and they also opened in '89. That was my big year. They were both featured at the Vancouver Film Festival, which was the same year that Julia Roberts, this unknown beautiful actress, had been in that unknown film called Mystic Pizza the same year.
Mm-hmm.
So these two were both featured. So I had the whole red carpet treatment and whatnot.
Awesome.
And I do remember sitting in the audience with the cast watching that. But Elm Street, I definitely did see it in a theater, but you got me stumped. I cannot for some reason remember. I'll have to ask the other guys. Because I did move to India pretty shortly afterwards and lived in India.
You've been all around.
Yeah, I lived in India for 2 years doing volunteer work on a mobile hospital.
Nice.
Yeah.
What did you think of the finished movie when you saw it?
I was impressed. I loved, oh my gosh, like watching, Joe Seeley turning into the cartoon.
Yeah, it's very cool scene. We had Super Freddy on a few weeks ago, or I guess.
Oh, did you? Awesome. Yeah. And then watching, just seeing the little baby Freddy and seeing him growing up and seeing how everything, came together and Danny turning into the motorcycle. And, I thought it was really cool. I don't know why, the people that don't like it, it's whatever, but I thought it was a great fun film.
How did that affect you at the time when it does get negative reviews?
I didn't really notice at the time, and I don't know that really.
Honestly, with the critics, I'm not sure how many of them got, glowing reviews.
Yeah, it wasn't that
horror
kind of
movies they didn't get, like Siskel and Ebert and stuff.
Exactly, they wouldn't have. I think it's only more now, like because they are so many later generation fans, and it's talked about, like, there's all these lists, comparing, which one do you like the best. And what's so funny is fans always seem surprised when actors like comment on stuff, but they invite us all to their different groups on Facebook. And I will admit, for years I never looked at anything because I was raising kids. I didn't have time. But now that I'm an empty nester, this year, for the first time ever, I suddenly have time. So I've been actually following stuff on Facebook and talking to my fans. And when they invite me to join a group, I join it. But then I join these groups. And so I get this post, and then somebody's posting, well, let's rate the Elm Streets. And they're saying nasty things about 5. And like, whoa, well, that's mean. And I drop out of that group.
Yeah.
Don't invite me to a group and put down my films, young people.
Right.
Yeah.
The internet itself, obviously there's great things about it, but there is also a lot of negativity on the internet. It's weird because there's a lot of negativity amongst fan bases. We talk about conventions, is usually at those people are very positive, but
right.
Not just horror movies, but everything. It seems like people who say they're fans of things can be very negative about the things that they're fans of.
Right. I know, exactly. Although I will say, and I hope I don't jinx it by saying it, but the fan page, like I have my own personal stuff with, my own family stuff or whatever. And I also have another business that, but my Facebook fan page, which is just about my, acting and whatnot, I have to say, I haven't run into any, nasty political stuff. And it's one of the few places, because everywhere else, like, do you guys have, wherever you live, like in Massachusetts, there's these like what is it called, neighborhood whatever, like I get these emails, it's some sort of like neighborhood group, like a neighborhood watch thing, and they, it's like they'll let you know if there's a road closure, or if somebody wants a good gardener, you ask for, or if you lost your dog, so, which is a nice idea. It's neighborhoods, kind of, and if people want a recommendation, but somehow, holy crap, a lost puppy will turn into some political crap, a road closure.
On the Sandwich News thing.
Yeah, I'm in a little town named Sandwich, and I have a local news page, and used to just be about restaurant stuff, but in the last 4 or 5 years, it's like you said, no matter what it is, it'll become some
digresses into that, like
into this awful fight. Yeah, it's just awful, and it makes you want to just shut off and not watch anything. So I do have to say, I'm very grateful that at least on the Facebook with the horror fans, it seems to never so far turn political.
Yeah,
and if they ever did on my page, I would delete it, because it's not going to happen. So.
Yeah, we don't get it too often on the Without Your Head page. It pops up every once in a while, but not too bad. Not too bad.
But even on those local things, sometimes they still, you find out there are good people, because when we lost our tortoise, which was a strange story, like some lady found it in our Parkwood Beach page, and she brought our tortoise back, which was wonderful. But it was just every now and then you're like, I'm never going to look at that thing again. Right. And then something good happens.
Then something nice happens. Oh, I'm so glad you got your tortoise back, because I never got my tortoise back. And I'll tell you, it was awful.
The tortoise.
I did. And I would, for probably about a year, like anytime I would see a rock, that might have been I'd be like, it was so sad. It was awful. And that they're not going to really survive. It's just not, you're also in the Northeast. So, I feel bad. Poor Master Oogway.
She's back. The marginated tortoise as well. So everything is good.
Good. Well, congratulations. But yes, Master Oogway went on to his own
I love
adventures.
The name. Yeah.
Yes, thank you. That is my son's absolute favorite movie. Well, at least when he was a kid. Now it's what's that guy that kills everybody even with a pencil?
Whoa.
Come on. He
kills everybody with a pencil.
Well, he was on the Matrix. What's the actor?
Keanu Reeves, John Wick.
Reeves. Thank you.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So now they love John Wick, but when they were young, they loved Kung Fu Panda with Master Oogway. It was a great movie. Great teachings.
I've actually not seen Kung Fu Panda.
I love all 3 of them now. That's good.
Yeah, they're really, really good. And if you, but definitely see the first one. It teaches you so much about humility that you need as a spiritual aspirant. It's just a great film. I
Yep.
love, and Jack Black does such great
I
job.
love Jack Black. So,
Yeah.
Yep. And Ian McShane is the villain in that one's real good.
Oh, really? Well, I'm a big fan of Deadwoods.
Yep.
So yeah, both of them. What's the little pig behind you?
Let's see which one.
So it's a as I point to it.
Up here.
Yeah, move. Yeah, towards the other direction. The other direction. No. Yeah, there. Above it. The pig. The painting.
Oh,
the painting here. Oh, okay. Geez, that's a pig. That's
Motel Hell one.
Yeah, Motel Hell.
Motel Hell.
My friend Annabelle did that for my birthday one year. She also painted the hat.
Oh, very cool. Awesome. Talented.
She also did this, but at the
Nice.
moment I don't have it up because it's a little big, but it's
Oh yeah. Wow.
Love that one, Neal.
Norman Bates.
Wow, yes. Oh, that's really cool. Very, very cool. See, that's what I'd love to be, is like the creep. I'd like to be like the mom, Norman Bates.
Oh yeah,
or something, you know.
Yeah, the mom. That's a good role.
Oh yeah, that would be sweet.
Wouldn't that be awesome? Actually, you know would be really amazing. Do you guys know the actress Karen Conoval?
That I know the name definitely.
She's a Canadian actress, a friend of mine. We used to, you know, we had the same agent when we were little, you know, when we were starting off in the business. We both did this movie called it was with the Dukes of Hazzard, those two guys, the blonde and the dark-haired guy. And I played the girlfriend of the blonde one. Anyway, so Karen Conoval is a fantastic character actress in Vancouver. She's been working steadily, and she plays Maurice, the orangutan in the Planet of the Apes movies, the 3 Planet of the Apes.
Oh yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, she's fantastic. And like, imagine that, like she's smaller than me and she plays this big orangutan, which is what's so amazing with, you know, motion capture.
Wow.
But yeah, and she studied them, she studied their movements, and she's really gotten to know orangutans very, very well and continued her study of them. But she played on X-Files this Chucky. She plays 2 characters. She plays these twins, a man, and it's a man and a woman. She plays them both.
Oh, wow.
Or are they both men? No, a man and a woman. Yeah, which is so cool. And if you watch it, you wouldn't know. I mean, unless you knew, you initially would not have a clue that it was her playing the guy. She does it so well. I'd love a challenge like that. I'd love to play something unexpected. Yeah. So if there's any filmmakers out there.
A lot of independent filmmakers go on the show and who watch.
Yeah, so find a fun, creepy role for me. It doesn't have to be, if you don't want me for a big, big role, that doesn't matter. It's not the size that matters. It's how you use it. No, but
I've been told that.
So, yeah, no, but I would love to do something fun. And a lot of independent filmmakers get nervous about using SAG. Most of us are still, you know, we're SAG actors, and I mean, I love the union. It's been it protects us, and it's been very helpful, to be honest with you. And even if they have a low budget agreement, they have a what do they call it? Really low budget or something like that. And then they even have like micro low, but micro, like they really work their way down. Like, so they even have an agreement for people that are trying to make a film for less than $20,000. So, you know, if you're just and then I also think they have something for student films too. So they really do try to work with people. They know that people don't have money necessarily, you know, and they're very supportive of independent filmmakers. But if you want to use trained actors, try to get the SAG agreement. It really doesn't cost much. And, you know, you can end up just getting great actors for your film. And I think it's worth it. I think if people get scared, they think, oh, you know, I've only got, you know, $20, you know, $10. I'm trying to throw this film together and there's no way I could use SAG actors. Well, you can. If you have an interesting script, we will all be happy to work on it, you know, but just make sure it's.
Yeah, I produced my first feature right before the pandemic, so it's actually not out yet. I didn't take care of that side of things, but I know that they dealt, because it's a SAG film, and they dealt.
Oh, yay. Awesome. Yeah.
And Mark Patton is actually in it, and Lisa Wilcox.
Oh, fun. Oh, that's exciting. Wait, which is this? What is this film?
What is the film? No, I know. Well, we did 2 films, but the one's a secret film. The other,
A secret
the
film.
Once in Future Smash.
Okay.
It's actually a quote unquote documentary about 2 actors who both take credit for a slasher film in 1970. I'll just say it's a mockumentary, and we filmed it at a convention, so it's very fun. We used they let us use the whole background, at the people, the audience, and everything at the convention. And so it's about 2 actors who go to a convention for the first time together, and they both take credit for a slasher film in 1970. It's not based on, but it's inspired by people who really do have those kind of a feud going on.
Oh, what fun!
And so a lot of people that I know through the show, they just play themselves in small cameos, but it's very fun.
Right. Oh, that's so cool. Oh, I can't wait to see it. I actually had started a screenplay for as it was called, HorrorCon, and it's about actors at a horror convention, and a few murders do take place, and it's like a whodunit, but it's amongst there's definitely jealousies amongst the actors, and kind of interesting. The one thing, the film that I did, Matinee, Canadian very low budget film, that takes place at a horror film festival, and people are being murdered in the manner that they are on screen in real life, and you have to try to figure out. It's worth seeing, and I don't care if those producers and directors are listening. Both Matinee and Quarantine, the 2 films I star in, are also available for free on YouTube, and they've been illegally uploaded, and I don't care because I've never gotten one.
Well, I was okay. That's fair.
Yeah.
Like, they don't give me residuals. We did the film, 30 something years ago, and they've never given me 1 penny afterwards. There's a lot of personal political stuff and reasons behind some of that too, but normally I would never encourage people to steal films,
right.
But if they're gonna be mean, and I see those films being sold. I mean, they're not big money makers for sure. I'm not even imagining that anybody got rich off of them, but still they're still in being produced and sold, and I've seen them being sold all over the world, because this is the wonder of internet, under different names. In every country they use a different name, but it's still the same film. So I don't know if that's helping them get away from the Canadian ACTRA, but oh, did I just turn me off? Can you hear me?
No, we hear you fine.
Okay.
Yeah.
But yeah, so anyway, if you ever want to just download them from YouTube, go ahead.
I will, actually. I'm going to watch. I hate to say I haven't seen them, but I'm going to watch them now.
Yeah, they each have their merit. They're not,
No, I'm interested in watching them.
They're definitely not like.
I should have watched them before the show, honestly.
Yeah, there you go. Well, so should have my agent. Who hasn't
there you go.
Yet, so.
Well, I'll watch them before we do. We have you back on when you talk about the new story you're writing.
Yes, exactly. Well, if you ever make another fun film like that, let me know.
Definitely, yeah.
Oh yeah.
Hopefully, if the world gets back a little more normal here, but it seems like things are moving backwards. But
right. Yeah.
Give it time.
Well, and then speaking of which, so Quarantine, right? That's the other film. It's so funny.
Right.
That's
Name, yeah.
It was well before this one, but kind of appropriate and timely to our times. But yeah. Well, it's been great talking with you guys.
Yeah, you as well. So,
super.
But one more question before and we'll get how people follow and everything. Did they ask you to do part 6 or any of the other sequels?
Nope. No. Very, very mean. Oh, which is also the reason why I never saw. So I was in a movie Stakeout, which your older brother might remember.
I remember.
Oh, you do? Richard Dreyfuss, Emilio Estevez.
Yep.
Yeah, I was Emilio's wife.
Okay.
So they made, and they both were fabulous actors to work with. They were so much fun, and Emilio and I've still kept in touch. But what was I going to say? Then when I heard that they did Stakeout 2 with what's her name? The comedian.
Who is in Stakeout?
Rosie
O'Donnell.
What's
that? Oh,
something like that. I don't know, because I didn't watch it because they didn't have
I
me
never
back.
saw it. I didn't know it even existed.
Yeah, I refused to see it because they didn't invite me back. So that was very mean.
Yep.
Yeah.
Agreed.
Yeah.
Right. So,
Yeah, we don't like this. So how can people follow you to see what you're up to?
well, on my, you can look up Beatrice Boepple on my Facebook. And now, oh yes, and then Beatrice _Boepple_ actor for Instagram. And
I just followed you.
oh, thank you. I need people to follow me. Apparently, Mark Patton has told me, and other people have told me, having big numbers of followers really is helpful in getting into conventions.
Mm-hmm.
So
Okay. That makes sense.
Yeah. So I guess follow me. And then I've learned all these weird little secrets and tips on how to work that. It's funny, at the other horror convention, at the Brooklyn Horror Con, I was with oh my God, Dana De Lorenzo, she was just a blast, so much fun. She's from that film. You guys all know who she is, right? Yes? No?
I know the name.
Yeah.
She was big. She was the only one of us that had a huge line. She's in something called oh my gosh. Oh, Jason and the I don't know. If you look her up, anyway, Dana De Lorenzo has like 1 million followers, literally. And then she's on some. TV.
Ash vs. Evil Dead. I know exactly.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah. So she was awesome. And then Christine Plebe, who was from Halloween, she also was with me. So the three of us were like the heroines of horror, they called us, which was really cool. And they both were like awesome, wonderful to get to know. Well, they both, because they're in more recent things, I guess they have media staff that do these things for them, and they have like hundreds of thousands of followers on and I think they have people that post stuff for them and get all that going. So yeah, so it's funny because you go, you look at, they say, oh, here's my Instagram, you can follow me, and I go and look at it, and it's like 500,000 followers or something, and then I look at mine, I got 220 or something, you're like, oh my. But I guess we all got to start somewhere. So
yeah, I know even for the show I should use Instagram more than Twitter. I'm not a really big fan of Twitter, but
me neither. I can't go that far yet, but at least Facebook and Instagram, those are the two that I can sort of handle.
Yeah, we used to have a MySpace, but I guess it's still there, but I don't know how to log into it.
With my 20-year-olds are like, Facebook is just so old,
I know, I hear this all the time, and that's the main one I use.
Yeah, me too. So, oh well, I guess we're just
years ago, was actually a fan of the show. He asked, he's like, can I make a Facebook page for you guys? And I was like, I don't even know what that is, but yeah, whatever you want to do.
Right. Yeah. Right. Well, yeah. So Troy and I are more the zoom.
Exactly. I got that theme song running through my head now.
Come on and zoom.
Zoom.
And who else can do this?
Exactly. I don't think we've had lots of guests on, but no one who's ever
no one who's done that. So
I think I still have my old recipe for pretzels from Zoom that I sent in to Sazy.
There you did, right? Send it to Zoom. 350. Come on. Boston, Mass. 02134. Send it to Zoom.
Yeah.
Well, this has been very fun. It's very fun to talk to you.
Yes, you too. Thank you for having me on.
Of course, I'll put in a good word for you at conventions. I don't know how if that will do you any good, but
well, I appreciate it. I do. Thank you so much.
You're free to come back anytime you'd like.
Yeah. All right. I appreciate it, guys. All right. Well, have yourselves a wonderful rest of the week. And
thank you so much.
Yes, you as well. And Happy New Year.
Happy New Year. And give your tortoise, your nice found tortoise, a nice kiss.
Absolutely. Will do.
All right. Take care, everybody.
Bye. Good night. Thanks, everybody, for watching it.
All right. Thank you.